The stars had never seemed so close. Ambassador Velthar stood at the observation window of the Harmony's Promise, watching the blue and green planet grow larger as they approached. His forearms trembled slightly with excitement. In his 300 years of life, he had never been part of a first contact mission. "Ambassador, we're receiving their response," said Communications Officer Lyra, her tentacles dancing across the console. "They're welcoming us. They seem happy to meet us." Velthar clicked his mandibles in satisfaction. The Galactic Concordat had discovered 47 intelligent species in the last 2,000 years. Each time it was a moment of pure joy. Another civilization to share knowledge with, to learn from, to protect. Earth hung before them like a jewel. The humans had been broadcasting radio signals for only 200 years. They had just invented faster-than-light travel 5 years ago. They were babies, really, taking their first steps into the wider galaxy. "Take us to the landing coordinates they provided," Velthar ordered. "And Lyra, send them our friendship protocols. Let them know we come in peace." The ship descended through Earth's atmosphere. Velthar watched the clouds part around them. Below he could see vast cities, roads connecting them like veins, and areas of green forests. It looked peaceful. It looked beautiful. The landing pad was in a place called New York. Thousands of humans had gathered to watch. Velthar could see them through the cameras, their faces turned upward, their mouths open in wonder. They looked so fragile with their soft skin and small frames. The landing was smooth. Velthar checked his translation device one last time, then walked toward the airlock. Behind him came Dr. Shiara, the Concordat's best xenobiologist, and Kranak, their cultural specialist. A dozen other scientists and diplomats followed. The airlock opened. The air that rushed in was thick and rich. Velthar's breathing apparatus immediately filtered it down to safe levels. The oxygen content was dangerously high, but he had expected that from the atmospheric scans. A group of humans waited at the bottom of the ramp. The one in front was an older female with gray hair and deep lines around her eyes. She wore formal clothing in dark colors. Her lips were curved upward in what the database said was a smile. "Welcome to Earth," she said, her voice translated instantly by Velthar's device. "I am Secretary General Chen of the United Earth Government. We are honored by your presence." Velthar descended the ramp carefully. Earth's gravity was stronger than he was used to, and each step felt heavy. "Secretary General Chen, I am Ambassador Velthar of the Galactic Concordat. We are honored to meet you. Your species has reached out into the stars and we have answered." They exchanged formal greetings. The ceremony was broadcast across Earth. Velthar gave his prepared speech about the Concordat, about the family of species that waited to welcome humanity. Chen spoke about humanity's dreams of meeting other intelligent life, about their hopes for friendship and cooperation. It was all very standard. Very normal. Velthar had done this before with other species, but something felt different. Over the next few weeks, the Concordat delegation toured Earth. They visited cities and farms, universities and factories. Everywhere they went, humans greeted them with warmth and curiosity. Children brought them drawings. Adults asked endless questions about other worlds. The humans seemed genuinely peaceful. They had formed a unified government only 50 years ago, after what they called the final wars. They spoke about peace as something precious, something they had fought hard to achieve. Yet Velthar noticed strange things. Every building they visited, even schools and hospitals, had thick walls and reinforced structures. When he asked why, humans explained about natural disasters, earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes. Earth, they said casually, was a dangerous place to live. Every human facility had emergency protocols. Detailed plans for evacuation, for lockdown, for survival. The humans practiced these drills regularly. Just in case, they always said. Human children played games that involved chasing, hiding, and simulated combat. They called it fun. One evening, Velthar was invited to watch a human sporting event called football. He sat in a massive stadium with 90,000 screaming humans. On the field below, two teams of heavily armored humans crashed into each other repeatedly, fighting over possession of a small ball. "This is entertainment?" he asked his human guide, a young male named David. "Sure is," David said, grinning. "It's a great game. Very strategic. They're hurting each other." "Not too badly," David replied. "They wear protection. And humans are tough. We heal fast." Velthar watched a human get knocked down hard enough to shake the ground. The human got up, shook his head, and returned to formation. The crowd roared approval. Dr. Shiara was having her own revelations. She had been given permission to conduct medical scans of human volunteers. What she found disturbed her deeply. Human bones were incredibly dense. Their muscle fiber was tightly packed and efficient. Their cardiovascular system could operate under extreme stress. They had a healing factor that was remarkable for a species without regeneration abilities. "Ambassador," she told Velthar one night, "I need to run more tests. But preliminary data suggests humans are unusually durable." Durable? Their bodies can withstand damage that would kill most concordate species. They have redundant systems, rapid clotting factors, and an immune system that is frankly aggressive. It's as if they evolved in a hostile environment. "Many species do," Velthar said. "It's not unusual." "Perhaps," Shiara said, but she didn't sound convinced. Kraynak, the cultural specialist, was studying human history and entertainment. He spent long hours in human libraries accessing their databases, watching their films and reading their books. He came to Velthar looking pale, which was unusual for his species. "Ambassador, I think we need to be careful with the humans." "Careful? Why? They've been nothing but welcoming." "Yes, but their culture." Kraynak pulled up a holographic display. "Look at their entertainment. Their stories. Almost all of it involves conflict, war, fighting. Even their children's tales often center around defeating enemies." Velthar looked at the display. Thousands of human books, films, and games. Kraynak had categorized them. The numbers were startling. Over 70% involve some form of conflict or combat. "They're a young species," Velthar said. "They've only recently achieved peace. Perhaps these are echoes of their violent past." "Maybe," Kraynak said. "But Ambassador, they have over 300 words in their primary language just for different types of combat and warfare. The Concordate Common Tongue has 12. Velthar was quiet for a moment. "Schedule a meeting with Secretary General Chen. I want to discuss their history more thoroughly." The meeting took place in a building humans called the United Earth Headquarters. It was a tall structure of glass and steel, beautiful and imposing. Inside, Chen met them in a large conference room with windows overlooking the city. "Secretary General," Velthar began, "we've been reviewing your history. Your species has experienced significant conflict in the past." Chen nodded slowly. "Yes, we're not proud of our past, Ambassador. Humans have fought many wars, too many. That's why we formed the United Earth government, to ensure we never fight each other again." "How did you achieve that peace?" "With difficulty," Chen said. "It took disasters, near-extinction events, and the realization that we had to cooperate or die. We chose cooperation. And you believe this peace will last?" Chen met his gaze steadily. "We will make it last, Ambassador. Humanity has seen enough war. We want to be part of something bigger now. Something peaceful." Velthar believed her. He wanted to believe her. The humans seemed sincere in their desire for peace. "Then we welcome you to the Concordate," he said. "You will be under our protection as an emerging species. We will help you grow and learn." Chen smiled. "We appreciate that, Ambassador. Though I should mention, humans don't need much protecting. We're survivors. It's what we do best." It was a strange thing to say, Velthar thought, but he dismissed it. After all, humans seemed harmless enough. That night, as he prepared his official report, Velthar looked out at Earth one more time. The planet rotated slowly beneath the ship, half in darkness, half in light. Millions of humans down there, sleeping, dreaming of the stars. The Concordate had found another peaceful species to protect and guide. Everything was proceeding normally. Velthar had no idea how wrong he was. Dr. Shiara had not slept properly in 3 days. The data before her was impossible to ignore and equally impossible to believe. She had run the tests 5 times. Every result came back the same. She stood in her laboratory aboard the Concordate Science Station, orbiting Earth. Through the window, the blue planet turned slowly. Beautiful, peaceful, terrifying. "Computer, compile final report on human biology," she said. "Priority urgent." The computer beeped acknowledgement. On the screen before her, images and data began organizing themselves. A complete picture of humanity's biological systems. A picture that made her want to flee this system as fast as possible. But she was a scientist. She had a duty to report the truth. 6 months had passed since first contact. The humans had been model guests in the Concordat. They shared their culture openly, asked intelligent questions, and showed genuine interest in learning. Human scientists had visited the station regularly, eager to exchange knowledge. One of those scientists, a woman named Dr. Sarah Martinez, had volunteered for a comprehensive physical examination. She wanted to help the Concordat understand human biology. She had been friendly and patient through the entire process. Shiara liked her. That made what she had discovered even more disturbing. The morning of the presentation arrived too quickly. The Concordat Council had gathered in the virtual conference chamber, their holographic forms sitting in a circle. Velthar was there, along with representatives from a dozen major species. Dr. Shiara, Council Leader Torvan said, his ancient voice gentle. Your report indicated urgent concerns. Please proceed. Shiara activated her presentation. A holographic human appeared in the center of the chamber, slowly rotating. Honored Council, I have completed my analysis of human biology. What I have found is unprecedented in my 40 years as a xenobiologist. She highlighted the human skeleton. Let's begin with their structural system. Human bones are incredibly dense, 4 times denser than the average Concordat species. A single human leg bone can withstand impact forces that would shatter our own skeletons. They evolved on a high-gravity world, Torvan said. This is expected. Yes, but consider this. Shiara zoomed in on a human arm bone. The density is uniform throughout, not just in load-bearing areas. The entire skeleton is reinforced. In practical terms, a human could use their own bones as weapons if necessary. In fact, historical records show they sometimes did exactly that. Uncomfortable silence filled the chamber. Shiara continued. Their muscular system is equally remarkable. Human muscle fiber is packed with mitochondria. They can exert tremendous force relative to their size. A human can carry weights equal to their own body mass for extended periods. Some specially trained humans can lift 3 times their body weight. She pulled up another image. Their cardiovascular system operates under constant moderate stress. What they consider a resting heart rate would be elevated for most of us. This means their bodies are always ready for action. They can triple their heart rate in seconds and maintain maximum output for minutes at a time. Fascinating, said Velthar. But I don't see cause for alarm. They're simply adapted to their environment. I'm not finished, Ambassador. Shiara's voice was tight. Humans have what they call an adrenaline response. When threatened, their bodies release a hormone that temporarily enhances their physical abilities. They become stronger, faster. Their pain response is suppressed. They've told me stories of humans performing incredible feats under this influence. Lifting vehicles to save trapped individuals. Fighting off multiple attackers, running on broken legs. She changed the image to show human skin. Their integumentary system is self-repairing at a remarkable rate. Small cuts heal in days. Broken bones mend in weeks. They can even regrow damaged liver tissue. And their immune system, she paused. Council, their immune system is viciously effective. It attacks foreign bodies with coordinated cellular warfare. Most diseases that affect Concordat species would be destroyed before causing symptoms in humans. Council member Listara, a delicate plant-based being, spoke softly. Are you suggesting humans are dangerous, Doctor? I'm suggesting humans are survivors, Council member. Let me show you more. Shiara pulled up dietary information. Humans are omnivorous. They can eat almost anything organic. Their digestive system can process plant matter, meat, and even some things that would be toxic to us. She highlighted several compounds. Humans consume capsaicin, a pain-inducing chemical, for pleasure. They drink ethanol, a literal poison for recreational purposes. Their tolerance for toxins is extraordinary. Their senses, she continued, are also noteworthy. Notice the position of their eyes. The holographic human's face zoomed in. Forward-facing, binocular vision, depth perception. These are predator characteristics. Prey species have eyes on the sides of their heads for wider awareness. Predators have eyes in front for tracking prey. Kranak, who had been silent until now, spoke up. Dr. Shiara, may I add to your report? Please do. Kranak stood and his display joined hers. I have been studying human culture for 6 months. What I have found corroborates Dr. Shiara's biological findings. Humans are not simply capable of violence, they are culturally oriented toward it. He showed images from human entertainment. Their stories, their games, their sports. The majority involve conflict. They have detailed martial arts systems developed over thousands of years. They have strategy games that simulate warfare. Their children learn combat through play from infancy. But they seem peaceful? Veltar protested. They are peaceful, Krennic agreed. Currently. But Ambassador, they have words for over 300 different types of combat techniques in their primary language alone. They have detailed vocabularies for weapons, tactics, and warfare. They study historical battles the way we study art. He pulled up more data. Every human culture, independently, developed sophisticated weapons. Every single one, from every continent on their planet. Warfare appears to be a universal constant in human development, Dr. Shiara added, and they evolved this way because Earth required it. Let me show you Earth's biosphere. The display changed to show Earth's wildlife. Humans evolved alongside apex predators, bears that can weigh 400 kilograms, cats that can kill with a single bite, wolves that hunt in coordinated packs, snakes with venom that causes excruciating death, spiders, crocodiles, sharks. Earth is filled with species designed to kill. And humans, she said quietly, defeated all of them. They are the apex predator of a world full of apex predators. She showed climate data. Earth has extreme weather. Hurricanes with winds that exceed 200 kilometers per hour. Tornadoes that can destroy anything in their path. Earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis. The planet itself tries to kill its inhabitants regularly. Humans survived ice ages, she continued. They survived supervolcano eruptions that blocked out their sun for years. They survived asteroid impacts. They survived diseases that killed billions. And they didn't just survive, they thrived. They spread to every corner of their planet, from frozen poles to burning deserts. The council was quiet. Shiara could see concern on their faces. There's one more thing, she said. Human endurance. Most species, when they hunt, rely on speed or strength. Humans have neither compared to Earth's other predators. But they have stamina. Humans can run for hours, days if necessary. They can chase prey until it literally dies from exhaustion. It's called persistence hunting, and it's how their ancestors survived. A human can walk for 8 hours straight without significant rest. They can run for hours. They can function without sleep for days. Their bodies can regulate temperature through sweating, allowing them to operate in extreme heat that would kill most of us. Torvan leaned forward. Dr. Shiara, what is your professional assessment? She took a breath. Council leader, humans are the most physically capable species we have ever encountered. They are built to survive hostile environments, fight dangerous predators, and endure extreme hardship. Biologically speaking, they are perfect survivors, perfect warriors. But they are peaceful, Velthar insisted. They want to join the Concordat. They want friendship. I believe they do, Shiara said. I genuinely believe they want peace. But wanting peace and being peaceful are different things. Humans have the capacity for extreme violence. It's written in every cell of their bodies. Whether they choose to use that capacity is another question. Krennic added. Their literature is telling. They have a saying, if you want peace, prepare for war. Another one, walk softly and carry a big stick. They understand that peace requires the ability to defend it. Council member Listara spoke again. Should we reconsider their membership in the Concordat? Torvin was quiet for a long moment. No, but we should be aware of what humanity is. They are our friends, but friendship requires understanding. He looked at Shiara. Continue your studies, Doctor. Learn everything you can about them. Yes, Council Leader. The meeting ended. The holograms faded. Shiara was alone in her laboratory again, looking down at Earth. She thought about Dr. Martinez, who had smiled and joked during the examinations, who had been kind and patient and friendly, who could, if her biology demanded it, probably tear apart most beings in the Concordat with her bare hands. Humans wanted peace. They genuinely did. Survey team leader Jaxtor had visited 93 planets in his career. He had seen frozen methane worlds, volcanic hellscapes, and gas giants with storms that lasted centuries. He had walked on planets with crushing gravity and floated in low-gravity moons. But he had never been as uncomfortable as he was standing on Earth. Gravity reading confirmed, his assistant Pila said, checking her scanner for the 5th time. 1.3 times standard Concordat baseline. Jaxtor felt it in his legs. Every step was work. His muscles ached. His breathing was labored even with the oxygen filter reducing the intake to safe levels. How do they live like this? he muttered. Beside him, their human guide, a cheerful man named Robert, laughed. You get used to it. We don't even notice it. You were born in it, Jackstor said. Your body's adapted. Sure, Robert agreed. Makes us pretty strong, though. I heard some of our astronauts visited a Concordate station and could lift twice what the local species could manage. Jackstor had heard the same thing. It was in his preliminary report. 1 year had passed since humanity joined the Concordate, and the Council wanted a full planetary assessment. They wanted to know everything about Earth, to understand humanity's homeworld. Jackstor was beginning to think some things were better left unknown. They were standing in a place called Colorado, in a city near mountains. It was a clear day. The sky was blue. The sun was shining. It looked peaceful. What is that? Pila asked suddenly, pointing to the horizon. Dark clouds were forming with impossible speed, building into towering formations. Lightning flickered inside them. Oh, that's a thunderstorm, Robert said casually. Pretty big one, too. We should probably head inside. How fast is it moving? Storm cells can travel at about 50 kilometers per hour. That one will be here in maybe 20 minutes. Jackstor stared. That's impossible. Weather systems don't form that quickly. They do here, Robert said, still smiling. Earth's weather is pretty dynamic. The high oxygen content makes everything more energetic. 20 minutes later, they were inside a building watching through reinforced windows. The storm had arrived exactly when Robert predicted. Rain fell so hard that visibility dropped to meters. Wind shook the building. Lightning struck so frequently it was nearly continuous, and thunder made the walls vibrate. This is normal? Jackstor shouted over the noise. Summer afternoon storm, Robert shouted back. Not even a bad one. You should see a hurricane. Those are impressive. Jackstor made notes on his tablet. His hands were shaking and not from the thunder. Over the next 3 weeks, the survey team traveled across Earth. Each location revealed new horrors. In a place called Kansas, they witnessed a tornado. The funnel cloud descended from the sky like a finger of destruction, tearing apart everything it touched. Winds exceeded 300 kilometers per hour. Buildings exploded. Vehicles flew through the air. How often does this happen? Jackstor asked the local human coordinator. Tornado Alley gets about 1,000 tornadoes a year, she said. Maybe a dozen really big ones. And people still live here? Sure, we build tornado shelters. Warning systems. We prepare. She shrugged. It's just part of living on Earth. In Japan, they experienced an earthquake. The ground shook so hard that Jackstor fell down. Buildings swayed but didn't collapse. Humans around them calmly moved to doorways and waited for it to pass. Magnitude 5.2, their guide said, checking his phone. Not bad. The buildings here are designed for much stronger quakes. How much stronger? We can handle up to magnitude 8 with proper construction. Maybe 9. Jackstor added another note to his growing report. Humans build every structure to withstand catastrophic forces. Because catastrophic forces are normal. They visited tropical regions and experienced heat that made Jackstor's cooling systems work overtime, humidity that felt like drowning. And insects, so many insects. Mosquitoes that fed on blood. Ants that could strip flesh. Spiders the size of dinner plates. Don't worry about the spiders, their guide said. Most aren't dangerous. Just a few species have deadly venom. Just a few? Yeah, maybe a dozen worldwide. And the snakes, scorpions, jellyfish, and some fish. Oh, and certain frogs. But really, it's fine. We have anti-venom for most of them. In Australia, Jackstor refused to leave the vehicle. Pila recorded data remotely while their human guide laughed and listed the local dangers. Saltwater crocodiles can grow to 6 meters and bite with over 3,000 pounds of force. We have sharks, venomous snakes, venomous spiders, venomous jellyfish, and even a venomous platypus. Plus drop bears, but those are rare. Why do humans live here? Jackstor asked weakly. It's beautiful, the guide said. Great weather, lovely beaches, good people. You just have to pay attention to your surroundings. The ocean was another nightmare. They took a boat out to study marine life, and Jackstor immediately regretted it. The water was full of creatures designed for murder. Sharks with rows of teeth, squid with beaks that could bite through steel, jellyfish that could kill with a touch, whales so large they could swallow his entire ship. Humans swim in this, he asked. All the time, their human marine biologist said. You just have to know where it's safe. And sharks usually don't attack people. You're more likely to be struck by lightning. Jackstor made another note. Humans measure danger by comparing it to other dangers. Nothing is simply safe. The wildlife on land was equally terrifying. Bears that could weigh as much as 4 humans. Large cats that could kill with a single paw strike. Wolves that hunted in coordinated packs with strategic intelligence. Buffalo with horns that could gore a human in seconds. And humans had defeated all of them. Not just survived alongside them, defeated them. Humans were the apex predator of this nightmare world. Dr. Shiara had been right. Earth wasn't just a dangerous planet. It was a death world. Back on the survey ship, Jaxtor compiled his final report. The classification system was clear. Planets were rated from Class 1, completely safe, to Class 15, uninhabitable by any known species. Earth was a Class 12 death world. The gravity alone made it hostile. The weather was violently chaotic. The native life forms were predominantly dangerous. The planet experienced regular extinction-level events. Volcanoes, earthquakes, asteroid impacts, ice ages, and life simply adapted and continued. But the most disturbing part wasn't the planet itself. It was how humans responded to it. They didn't just survive Earth, they conquered it. They built cities in tornado zones. They lived next to active volcanoes. They swam in oceans full of predators. They farmed in areas that flooded regularly. They climbed the highest mountains and explored the deepest caves. Humans didn't avoid danger. They adapted to it. They prepared for it, and then they continued living their lives. Jaxtor found a human documentary about Mount Everest, Earth's tallest mountain. The summit was 8,000 meters above sea level. The temperature averaged -36 degrees. The oxygen level was 1/3 of normal. The wind could exceed 160 kilometers per hour. Over 4,000 humans had climbed it. Hundreds had died trying, and humans considered it a recreational activity. They do this for fun, Jaxtor said to Pila. They climb a mountain that tries to kill them. For fun. At least now we understand why they're so physically capable, Pila said. Earth required it. Jaxtor thought about that. Every species evolved to match their environment. But most species evolved on worlds that were at least somewhat hospitable. Earth was actively hostile, and humanity had evolved to not just survive but thrive. He looked at his final report. The conclusion was inescapable. Humanity evolved in constant struggle against their environment. They faced predators, weather, disease, and planetary catastrophes on a regular basis. Their biology, culture, and psychology are all shaped by this reality. They are extraordinarily resilient, adaptable, and persistent. They view danger as a normal part of life, not as something to avoid at all costs. Current assessment. Humanity is not aggressive, but they are extremely capable. They have been fighting for survival since they became a species. They have never known a time when the universe was not trying to kill them. Recommendation: humanity should be welcomed into the Concordat. But Council should be aware that humans have a fundamentally different relationship with danger than most Concordat species. What they consider normal or safe would be classified as hazardous by our standards. He paused, then added one more line. Additional note: humanity calls Earth home and speaks of it with affection. They love their planet despite its hostility. This suggests a level of psychological resilience that may be their most remarkable adaptation. Jaxtor sent the report to the Concordat Council and began preparations to leave Earth. He would be happy to return to a normal planet, one with reasonable gravity, predictable weather, and wildlife that wasn't constantly trying to kill him. As the ship lifted off, he took one last look at Earth. The blue and green planet looked so peaceful from space, so beautiful it was deceptive. Earth was a forge, and humanity was what it had created. Jaxtor hoped the galaxy would never see what happened when you tempered a species in such extreme conditions and then gave them access to the stars. But deep down, he suspected they would find out eventually. Everything that could survive Earth could survive anything, and humanity had done more than survive. They had won. The message came through every communications channel simultaneously. 3 short words that changed everything. They are coming. Council Leader Torvan stood in the emergency session chamber, his ancient face grave. Around him, holographic representatives from 47 species flickered with agitation and fear. How many ships? Someone asked. Over 2,000. Torvald said quietly. The Vexthor Empire has declared war on the Concordat. They will arrive at our border worlds in 3 days. Silence, then chaos. Everyone spoke at once. The Concordat had not fought a war in 200 years. They had peacekeeping forces, police, border guards. But an army? A real military? They had nothing. The Vexthor Empire came from beyond the known sectors. They were conquerors. They had destroyed dozens of civilizations. Their technology was advanced, their tactics brutal, their soldiers trained from birth for war. And the Concordat had 3 days to prepare. What about our defense fleet? Ambassador Velthar asked. We have 300 ships, the military coordinator said, designed for peacekeeping and patrol. The Vexthor have 2,000 warships designed for combat. The math was simple. The Concordat would lose. We must evacuate the border worlds, someone suggested. There are billions of civilians on those worlds, Torvald said. We cannot evacuate them in 3 days. More silence. The weight of coming disaster pressed down on them all. Then a new hologram appeared. Secretary General Chen of Earth. Council Leader Torvald, we have received your distress call. Humanity offers its assistance. Velthar clicked his mandibles. Secretary General, we appreciate the offer, but this is not a matter for a single species. The Vexthor Empire is... We know what they are, Chen interrupted. We've reviewed all available data. We understand the threat, she paused. We also understand that the Concordat has no military to speak of. We do. You've been a spacefaring species for barely 5 years, someone protested. We've been a warring species for 200,000 years, Chen replied calmly. If the Concordat will accept our help, we can deploy immediately. Torvald looked at the other council members. They had no choice. We accept. What do you need from us? Complete tactical data on all Concordat systems, ship capabilities and communications protocols, and full authority to coordinate the defense. We'll need to move fast. The data was transmitted. Within hours, human ships began arriving at the border worlds. Velthar went to observe the deployment and was shocked at what he saw. Human ships were smaller than Vexthor warships. But there were hundreds of them, appearing from faster-than-light jumps with military precision. They moved in formations, coordinated and purposeful, and more were coming. How many ships does Earth have? Velthar asked his liaison, a human officer named Commander Park. Every ship we can spare, Park said. About 800 total, plus 20,000 ground troops, 3,000 fighters and support craft. That's still less than the Vexthor. Park smiled. It was not a friendly expression. Ambassador, humans learned a long time ago that wars aren't won by having more ships. They're won by using the ships you have more effectively. Human military advisors spread throughout the Concordat defense forces. They brought with them concepts that made the Concordat soldiers uncomfortable. Acceptable losses, one human general said during a briefing. We need to accept that people will die. The goal is to minimize deaths while achieving objectives. We don't think in terms of acceptable losses, a Concordat commander protested. Then you've never fought a war, the general said bluntly. War is mathematics written in blood. Either you do the math or your enemy does it for you. They taught tactics that seemed insane. Ambush points, flanking maneuvers, false retreats, psychological warfare. We should broadcast our strength, a Concordat officer suggested. Show them we're ready to fight. No, Commander Park said. We show them weakness. We make them overconfident. Then we hit them where they don't expect it. That's dishonorable. That's survival. Honor is for species that can afford it. Right now you can't. The first battle came at a border world called Sanctuary. The Vexthor arrived with 500 ships expecting to crush the small Concordat defense fleet. Instead, they found a trap. Human ships had hidden in the asteroid field near the planet. As the Vexthor ships moved into formation to bombard the surface, the humans attacked from 6 directions at once. The battle lasted 17 minutes. 120 Vexthor ships were destroyed. 30 human ships were lost. The remaining Vexthor fleet retreated in confusion. It was the first time in their history that the Vexthor Empire had been forced to retreat. Velthar watched the battle recordings with horror and fascination. Human ships fought with a ferocity he had never seen. They used ramming maneuvers when weapons were depleted. They self-destructed to take out larger ships. They fought in ways that maximized damage even at the cost of their own survival. And they won. Why do they fight like that? He asked Dr. Shiara. Because they're willing to sacrifice, she said quietly. They understand that sometimes you have to give your life to save others. It's part of their military culture. They train for it. They accept it. The war continued. The Vexthor adapted, but humans adapted faster. Every battle revealed new human tactics. They used drones as decoys. They hacked enemy communications. They planted false intelligence. They struck supply lines instead of engaging main fleets. They turned the Vexthor's own aggression against them, making them chase ghosts while human forces destroyed real targets. On the ground, human soldiers trained Concordat troops. Velthar observed one training session and barely recognized the peaceful species he had first met on Earth. A human sergeant was teaching a group of insectoid Kiri how to set up an ambush. You wait until half their force is in the kill zone, the sergeant said. Then you hit them from 3 sides at once. You want them confused, disoriented, unable to coordinate a response. But we'll be killing them, one Kiri said. Yes, the sergeant agreed. That's the point. They're here to kill you and everyone on this planet. You kill them first or they kill you. There's no middle ground in war. The Kiri soldier's antenna trembled. I don't know if I can. The sergeant's expression softened. I know. Killing should be hard. The day it becomes easy is the day you lose part of your humanity. But you can learn to do hard things when you need to, when the people you love depend on it. Velthar watched the Kiri soldier think about that, then nod. The war reached a turning point 3 months after it began. The Vexthor Emperor himself came to the front lines, commanding a massive fleet of 800 ships. He demanded a meeting with human leadership. Fleet Admiral Rodriguez accepted. The meeting took place via hologram, with both fleets holding position. The Vexthor Emperor was massive, nearly 3 meters tall, covered in armored scales. His 4 eyes glowed with contempt. You are humans, he said, a weak species from a backwater world. You cannot defeat the Vexthor Empire. Stand down now, and we will grant you a quick death. Rodriguez was a small woman, barely 1.5 meters tall. She looked tiny compared to the Emperor, but her eyes were cold and steady. Emperor, you've never fought a species like us. You've conquered species that had forgotten how to fight, that viewed war as an aberration. We're different. You are nothing. We are survivors from a death world, Rodriguez said calmly. We evolved in constant warfare with our own planet, our own predators, and each other. We've perfected the art of killing for 200,000 years. Every major advancement in human civilization has been driven by warfare. Our medicine came from treating wounds. Our industry came from building weapons. Our exploration came from seeking strategic advantage. She leaned forward. You've conquered peaceful species. Now you're facing warriors who sometimes choose peace. There's a difference, the Emperor laughed. Words, I have 800 ships. You have fewer than 400. The mathematics are simple. Mathematics, Rodriguez agreed. Let me teach you human mathematics. You have 800 ships, but you're fighting in our territory. We know every asteroid, every gravity well, every hiding spot. You have supply lines stretched across 3 sectors. We don't. You have soldiers who fight because they're ordered to. We have soldiers who fight because they choose to. She smiled. It was terrifying. Your 800 ships are worth maybe 400 of ours, adjusted for morale and tactical disadvantage. You're not fighting a larger force. You're fighting an equal one. And Emperor, humans have never lost a war when the stakes were survival. Prove it, the Emperor snarled. Gladly. The battle that followed would be studied for centuries. Human forces used every tactic they had developed. They divided the Vexthor fleet. They struck from unexpected angles. They used suicide runs to destroy key command ships. They hacked Vexthor communications and fed false orders. They fought with a creativity and ferocity that the Vexthor could not match. When it was over, the Vexthor fleet was in retreat. 300 ships destroyed, the rest fleeing in disorder. The Emperor himself barely escaped. The war did not end immediately, but the Vexthor never recovered from that defeat. Over the next year, human-led forces pushed them back sector by sector. The tactics humans taught spread throughout the Concordat forces. Species that had forgotten how to fight remembered, or learned for the first time. 2 years had passed since the war ended. The Concordat had survived. The Vexthor Empire had collapsed, its former territories now seeking to join the Concordat peacefully. The galaxy had learned a lesson. Never threaten a species that evolved fighting. Ambassador. Velthar stood in what had once been a military briefing room, and was now being converted back into a cultural exchange center. The walls still held tactical displays, but they were being replaced with art and historical exhibits. Humanity was keeping its promise. They were putting away the weapons, returning to peace. But the galaxy would never forget what they had done. Velthar reviewed the latest reports. Human military advisors were still embedded with Concordat defense forces, but their mission had changed. They were no longer teaching how to wage war. They were teaching how to prevent it. Deterrence, Fleet Admiral Rodriguez had explained during their last meeting. You maintain enough strength that no one wants to fight you. Then you never have to use that strength. But you'll always be ready to use it, Velthar had said. Always, Rodriguez had confirmed. Peace without the ability to defend it is just waiting to be conquered. It was a human philosophy. The Concordat was slowly adopting it. Dr. Shiara entered the room, carrying a datapad. She looked older now, more tired. The war had aged everyone. Ambassador, I've completed my final analysis of human military capability. The Council requested a full report. And your conclusions? Shiara sat down heavily. Humans are the most effective military force in known space. Not because of their technology or numbers, but because of their doctrine, training, and psychological makeup. She pulled up displays showing battle statistics. In every engagement during the war, human-led forces achieved victory ratios of 3-to-1 or better. That means for every Concordat ship lost, we destroyed 3 enemy ships. Sometimes the ratio was much higher. How did they do it? Creativity, adaptability, willingness to sacrifice, and something else. She highlighted a section of her report. Humans have a concept they call asymmetric warfare. It means fighting in ways your enemy doesn't expect. Using unconventional tactics. Turning disadvantages into advantages. The Vexthor had superior numbers and technology, but humans made that irrelevant. They attacked supply lines instead of facing the main fleet directly. They used psychological warfare to make Vexthor commanders doubt their intelligence. They leveraged our knowledge of local space to create tactical advantages. Velthar nodded. He had seen it himself. What else did you learn? Human military doctrine is based on centuries of warfare among themselves. They've fought in every environment imaginable. Space, air, land, sea, underground. They've used every weapon type. They've developed tactics for every situation. She paused. But the most important thing is their strategic thinking. Humans don't fight to win battles. They fight to win wars. Explain. Most species think tactically. How do we win this engagement? Humans think strategically. How do we achieve our overall objective? They're willing to lose battles if it helps them win the war. They're willing to sacrifice pieces if it protects the whole. She showed footage from a battle where human ships had deliberately retreated, allowing Vexthor forces to pursue them into a trap. They gave up territory, let the enemy feel victorious, then surrounded and destroyed them. The Vexthor never expected prey to turn predator so quickly, because the Vexthor had never fought predators before, Velthar said. Exactly. They fought species that thought like prey. Humans think like apex predators. They analyze threats, identify weaknesses, plan attacks, execute with precision, and show no mercy until the threat is eliminated. Velthar looked at the data. The Council is concerned. Now that the war is over, what do we do with this capability? Humanity has become the Concordat's military, the sword we never wanted, but needed, Shiara said. Without them, we would have been destroyed. I know. But now what? Do we just keep them as our protectors? Does humanity become the warrior species of the Concordat? Before Shiara could answer, Velthar's communicator chimed. Secretary General Chen was requesting a meeting. He accepted and her hologram appeared. Ambassador Velthar, I have news. The United Earth government has made a decision about our military role in the Concordat. Velthar felt anxiety flutter through him. What decision? We're reducing our military presence, bringing most of our forces home. We'll maintain a small rapid response force, but we're returning to peace. But the Concordat still needs protection. There may be other threats, Chen smiled. Then the Concordat should protect itself. We've spent 2 years training your forces. They're ready. They don't need us to hold their hands anymore. What if another empire attacks? Then you fight them, using what we taught you. And if you truly need help, we'll come, but you don't need us to be your standing army. She leaned forward. Ambassador, humanity didn't join the Concordat to become its warriors. We joined to be part of something peaceful. We can't do that if everyone expects us to fight their battles. Velthar understood, but there was fear in that understanding. The galaxy has seen what humans can do. Some species are afraid. Good, Chen said bluntly. Fear prevents war. Let them be afraid. Let them know that if they attack the Concordat, they attack humanity. That's deterrence, but we're not going to maintain a permanent war footing. That's not who we want to be. After the call ended, Velthar sat in silence. Shiara waited patiently. They're right, he finally said. We can't ask them to be warriors forever. They've shown us how to defend ourselves. Now we have to actually do it, will we? Shiara asked. Can species that have known peace for centuries maintain military readiness? We have to. The alternative is extinction. 3 months later, Velthar visited Earth for the first time since the war ended. He wanted to see what humanity had returned to. What he found surprised him. The military bases were still there, but much smaller. Human soldiers were being retrained for civilian work. Warships were being converted to exploration vessels. The massive war industry was shifting back to peaceful production, but the training centers remained open. Every human still learned basic combat skills. Every facility still had emergency protocols. Every city still had defenses. We're not forgetting, Commander Park explained as she showed him around a former military base now used for disaster response training. We're just not letting it define us. You're still ready for war, always. But we're hoping never to need it. She gestured to a group of young humans training in rescue operations. These kids are learning to save lives, not take them. But if someone threatens them, they can fight. They just don't want to. That evening, Velthar was invited to a human celebration. It was at a school, where children were performing in a cultural show. He sat with human families and watched children sing, dance and recite poetry. A small human girl, maybe 7 years old, stood on stage and recited something she had written. My grandpa was a soldier in the war with the Vexthor. He fought in 5 battles and saved a whole city. He's a hero. She paused, looking out at the audience. But Grandpa says the real heroes are the ones who don't have to fight. The ones who build things instead of breaking them. Who help people instead of hurting them. Another pause. Grandpa says humans can be the scariest thing in the galaxy, but we can also be the kindest. And he says being kind when you could be scary is the bravest thing of all. The audience applauded. Velthar felt something in his chest that might have been emotion. After the show, he met the grandfather. The man was missing an arm, lost in the war. But he was smiling, hugging his granddaughter. She's right, you know, the old soldier said to Velthar. About kindness being brave. You fought in the war. You saw what humans can do. I did, and I hope she never has to. That's why we fought. Not because we love war. Because we love peace enough to defend it. Velthar left Earth with a new understanding. Humanity was dangerous. Their capability for violence was extraordinary. But that capability was controlled, directed, chosen. Back at the Concordat Council, he gave his final report. Humanity is the most capable military force in known space. This is fact, but it is not their defining characteristic. Their defining characteristic is choice. He displayed images from Earth, children playing, cities being built, scientists exploring, artists creating. Humans are warriors who choose peace. They know what they're capable of and they choose not to do it. They maintain the ability to fight but dedicate themselves to building instead. Council leader Torvon spoke. And if another threat emerges, then humans will fight again. But only if they must, and only until the threat is ended. Then they will return to peace. Velthar paused. This is what makes them truly dangerous. Not that they can wage war, but that they can stop waging it. I don't understand, someone said. A species that only knows war will eventually destroy itself. A species that only knows peace will eventually be destroyed. Humans know both. They can be whichever one is necessary. That balance is what makes them survivors. Dr. Shiara added her own conclusion. My final assessment, humanity was not built for war. War built humanity. It forged them into survivors, warriors, and ultimately into people who understand the true cost of conflict. That knowledge makes them the perfect guardians of peace because they know exactly what they're protecting against.